What's up, Taiwan? I'm Erika Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Former Taipei Mayor Wen-je has been released without bail after 2 days in custody on corruption charges. His supporters are cheering a court ruling that the evidence didn't merit holding him further. But Ke's case is far from over. John Van Trieste reports.
A crowd erupts into cheers as former Taipei Mayor Wen-je walks free. It's the second night of a vigil his supporters have kept up outside the Taipei prosecutor's office, where Ke's been held on corruption charges. At past 3 in the morning, the court ruled that there's not enough evidence to have Ke formally detained and ordered his release without the need for bail. Ke's tearful wife is on the scene, accompanied by members of the Taiwan People's Party, which Ke founded and stood for as presidential candidate this year. They've attacked the investigation for going beyond its remit, looking into whether then Mayor Ke was part of a quid pro quo deal to help a shopping mall expand its floor space. They say inspectors took evidence and asked questions that had nothing to do with the case, hoping to find any dirt they could pin on him. It's a line of criticism Ke agrees with.
无法理解他的目的是什么。那么他们在搜索的时候查扣手机跟硬碟，再拿里面的资料去编故事。在这2天当中，可以说是极尽压迫跟凌虐。
He also tells supporters his version of the story.
所有的精华城840的容积率，840% 容积率，其实当年在送公开展览以后，再转送都委会，就都市计划委员会以后，我完全没有去过问，因为作为市长不应当去过问单一个案。
Though the court agrees there's not enough evidence to tie Ke to the case, for now, he's far from off the hook. His deputy mayor, Shang, has been formally detained as a major suspect. And this is just one of 3 scandals that's recently damaged Ke's public image and given his party a battering in the polls. It's just the end of the first chapter of what looks to be a long legal battle. Andy Xue and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Allies of Keelung Mayor George Xie, including former Taipei Mayor Hao Lengping, rallied this weekend just a month ahead of a looming recall vote.
10月13号要面临这一场选举的投票，所以再一次的要请我们的好市长来帮国良加持。
Residents gathered the signatures needed for a recall petition after the city council accused Xie of abusing power in a shopping mall real estate transaction. The Central Election Commission set the date for the recall vote on October 13th. If at least 25% of eligible Keelung residents vote in favor of the recall, Xie will be removed from office. Residents also say Xie's administration is falling short on election promises and budget management.
国良真的从来没有在乎过市民的需求是什么。市民需要的并不是一台会抛锚的机车，更不是随意铺设的人工草坪。
A new government program aims to unite every corner of Taiwan, from the military to civil society, to better prepare the country in the event of a natural disaster or a Chinese invasion. Reese Ayers was at the event announcing the initiative.
National defense goes beyond the military. It's also the responsibility of civil society and every civilian in it. That's the message being hammered home by the government at this press conference in Taipei. A cross-section of legislators and civil society leaders have come to lend their support as Taiwan's Vice President Bi Kim-hsiao announces the formation of the Taiwan Parliamentary All-Out Defense Committee.
那台湾除了应对很多因为气候变迁所带来的天然灾害环境的影响之外，地缘政治的挑战更是在我们的眼前。所以立法院在这个时候继续的就过去所成立的全民防卫连线持续的扩大，跟民间团体我们所有的社会力的连结，在这个关键的时间点更为重要。
A project 2 years in the making, the committee plans to strengthen relationships between public and private sectors and the general public to better prepare Taiwan in the event of a catastrophe, be it natural or military. The committee's campaign will include better education for citizens, expanding the powers of civil society, providing more resources for disaster response, improving medical networks, and reinforcing digital, energy, transportation, and financial infrastructure. The committee aims to bring together experts from across the country, including from agriculture, tech, commerce, and the military, and form a more collaborative, nationwide mechanism to disaster response. In the face of increasing aggression from China, Taiwan is taking every preventative measure it can to give itself the best chance of surviving the worst-case scenario. Ryan Wu and Ri says in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
President Lai Ching-te is praising the work of naval divers ahead of Armed Forces Day on Tuesday.
我们也看到海军水下作业大队对于任何水面以下的工作，包括舰艇水下各部位检查、空难、船难搜救打捞，以及水中障碍物排除，他们无一不语。今年凯米台风来袭，他们同样投入救灾的行列。
Lai was speaking at an event showcasing a new documentary series on craftspeople. One episode is on underwater welders, shedding light on the work of naval divers. Lai said the documentary helps spotlight the people quietly protecting the country from disasters. In a rare sign of improving relations between Taiwan and China, Beijing says it will resume importing pomelos from certified Taiwanese orchards. China banned the large citrus fruit from Taiwan in 2022, citing concerns about pests. But the move was widely seen as punishment for a visit to Taiwan by then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Monday's announcement comes just a few days after China allowed tourists from Fujian province to return to Taiwan's outlying Jinmen Islands. 2 people have died after a construction crane collapsed at a southern Taiwan building site. One Vietnamese worker was killed at the site in Kaohsiung, while a Taiwanese crane operator later died in hospital from his injuries. All work at the site of a new shopping center has halted, pending an investigation into the deadly accident. The city's labor chief says his bureau will work with Vietnam's representative office in Taiwan to make necessary arrangements with the deceased worker's family. An indigenous Taroko community elder has spent most of the last decade documenting his community's migration history and culture. On the 20th anniversary of the Taroko people gaining official government recognition, he has published his findings in a book he hopes can serve as a reference for future generations. Wesley Lewis has the story.
86-year-old Huang Changxing has been on a mission to document centuries of indigenous history. He has spent 10 years investigating the migration paths of lugu communities in northeastern Taiwan. In April, a magnitude 7.4 earthquake hit the region, damaging much of the area's infrastructure and isolating remote mountain communities. But since then, Huang has resumed his trips into the mountains, leading groups of indigenous lugu youths on expeditions to retrace hunting trails their ancestors left behind.
我是现地花10年的时间，发动了180多个人，在这里一个部落一个部落去查，而且所有的部落也好，生活地点也好，都有精确的 GPS 的那个记录。
Huang comes from the Wenlan group in Keelung Township. He says he's always felt a sense of responsibility to his community. He compiled 10 years of his survey data into his book, so future generations can draw from his work. And his efforts have not gone unnoticed by his fellow community members.
以岁月心血踏勘本乡境内有192处，万荣乡境内有124处的旧部落的生活据点，精要的整理了太鲁阁族所有的一个迁移的一个历史。
The Lugu people were once classified as part of the Dayan indigenous ethnic group. But 20 years ago, the community successfully campaigned to have the government recognize them as one of Taiwan's distinct indigenous peoples. And Huang's book continues the work of advocating for and preserving the Lugu identity.
怎么样把自己的生活世界重新找回来？因为我们的民族不是一个名称而已，是它的内容，是我们的生活世界怎么样重新找回来？我们的祭典、我们的语言、我们的这个所有的这些生活的领域。
Huang's book explores traditional lugu hunting practices and recounts the community's resistance to Japanese colonization. He says his work could be used as a textbook. More than that, he hopes it will make it easier for future generations of Telugu youth to connect with their roots and take pride in their heritage. James Lin and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's tallest trees are disappearing, and the country's scientists want to know why. Rick Latt reports from the forests of Taiwan's central mountain range on the team hoping to save Taiwan's giant trees.
It might look precarious, but this is where Rebecca Xu feels most at home. At the top of a 67-metre-high fir in Taiwan's central mountain range, she's collecting measurements from a weather station. She affectionately calls this tree Great White and hopes this data will help answer a question that has long been troubling her. Why are giant trees like this one disappearing in Taiwan?
可能100年后就已经没有巨木了，对，就是有点过于快速，对，所以我们想要知道为什么嘛？
就估计它的长度跟那个直径。
Xu has dedicated her career to finding and cataloguing the country's tallest trees, using radar imagery, drones, and manually measuring the trees herself. Taiwan is one of just a handful of places around the world with the right environment for trees to grow this tall. The mountainsides here were once covered in hundreds and thousands of firs and cypresses growing to heights of more than 65 metres. But after decades of logging, less than 1,000 remain. These rare primeval giants no longer face the threat of being cut down for timber. It's been illegal here for more than 30 years. But in the last decade, 4% of the 941 trees Xu and her team catalogued have died. And she suspects it has to do with climate change.
有可能是因为近年来那个极端气候造成那个暴雨，对啊，然后因为很多都是崩塌地。
Their loss will signal a decline in the health of Taiwan's forests, which cover more than half of the country and are vital to local ecosystems.
Forests are less healthier, and they are not biodiverse enough. Then overall, they increase the odds for forest fire.
As the world struggles to reduce carbon emissions and rising global temperatures, trees like this are vital, absorbing damaging carbon dioxide from the atmosphere.
我觉得是我们给他照顾，我觉得是他们在照顾我们，对我们没有办法照顾他们，因为他们这几千年来都是他们自己生存的啊。
In the last few months, deadly earthquakes and typhoons have racked Taiwan, but Great White is still standing tall, and Xu is relieved to find signs of new growth in its highest branches. Xu says trees like this are incredibly resilient, and that given time, they can adapt to a changing environment. But, she warns, the globe is warming too quickly, and she now suspects that she will outlive this ancient giant. Leon Lien, Peachy Chuang, and Rick Lowett in Hsinchu County for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Ghost Month is coming to a close with the annual Toucheng Qiang Festival being held at midnight on Monday to mark the occasion. The highlight of the event is known as Ghost Grappling, where teams of climbers race up 10-story tall greasy towers hung with food offerings to grab flags placed at the top. The festival was originally a ritual where food was offered to wandering spirits before given to the poor. It was later turned into a race and is used today to remember past hardships. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of South African beauty queen Chidima Adetshina, who won Miss Universe Nigeria over the weekend. I'm Erika Liu. Take care and see you next time.